What's going on, guys? Today we're back with another tutorial, and this time it's going to be a mid-fade. So to begin, we're going to start with our trimmer. We are making sure to stay in the middle of the C cup and bring it around the ear, dropping it slightly in the back. Keep in mind, for this tutorial, I'm going to be doing just the side of the head. I would recommend that you bring all these steps all the way around as you do them, but just for tutorial's sake, we're just doing this left side. So once we're done with the initial guideline with the trimmer, we're going to use our foil shaver. Just make sure you're not bringing it all the way up to that skin line and you're flicking out once you get up close to it, and everything is going to be fine. So now we go on to our initial first guide, and that's going to be our open blade or a half guard. In this case, I'm using a half guard closed, but typically it ends up being the same thing. And then after you initially put that all the way around, you can actually start to blend it in. I typically go from closed to open and work my way up. If we need to push this up later, then we can. I just want to make sure everything's perfectly blended as I move up from that trimmer line into that half. So after constantly hitting at it with the closed blade on the clipper, I've realized that the trimmer is going to need to come out. We're going to need to get that bottom line out. And this is due to when we were putting the skin line in, maybe I wasn't flicking enough, or maybe I was just being too aggressive with the skin line. But that's kind of the price you pay when you put in a skin line with a pretty sharp trimmer. I could have used a Andis slim line here, which is not as sharp as the saber. And it would have probably saved me the time that it took me to go down to that saber, but ultimately whatever put the line in is what's going to get it out. So we just use that, and then we move on to our next step. And that next step is going to be our 1.5 guard closed. We're going to pretty much make the exact same size section as we did with our open blade. If anything, it's going to be a little bit bigger. And then after this part is done, we're going to be on to blending it in with our half guard. Keep in mind, this guideline that we're working on right now was put in with a half guard, and just like the trimmer section, whatever put in the guideline is what's going to take it out. So we know that this half guard is going to blend this line in perfectly into that 1.5. So just like we did on the previous section, we start closed and work our way up, slowly opening that blade, and eventually we are going to have a perfect blend from that closed half guard into the 1.5. And once we're happy with that blend, then we're going to move on to our last section, which is going to be with the 3 guard. Here, we're just trying to lighten this area up. As you can see, it's pretty dark. His hair is very dense, so 3 and up is pretty much all going to be the same color. So we just want to lighten this up a little bit so that it's easier to blend into here with our 1.5. And like I said before, whatever put in the line is what's going to get it out. And sometimes that's true and sometimes that's not. And in this case, you're going to see it's not 100% the case, because sometimes as we're fading, we do push up our guidelines and we need to kind of react to that. And here I'm moving over this area constantly back and forth, and I'm noticing that nothing is happening. So then I put on my 1 guard, I open the blade all the way open. Sometimes you just need that little bit shorter, and a 1.5 guard closed versus a 1 open, it's not the exact same, even though they are technically both a 1.5. As you can see here, that 1 open did end up getting rid of that line, and sometimes you need to use the lever in certain spots, but ultimately we're just trying to get this perfect. And then we take that 3 one more time because we kind of went up into it a little bit. We'll just stretch that just a little bit more before we get into the thinning shears. So now is the thinning shear part of this haircut. Just keep in mind, it's very simple. We're just blending from that 3 that we just did into the top. We'll cut the top later, and it doesn't really matter what the top is and what the top length is going to be, because if it blends in how it is now, whatever you cut the top down to, it's all going to be perfectly blended. And although today was a quick tutorial, I hope you guys enjoyed, and if you did, I'd really appreciate it if you left a like, subscribe to the channel, and thanks for watching.